I'm Colin O'Keefe, and this is LXPN TV. Joining me today from Peoria, Illinois to discuss a growing trend, the privatization of prosecution, is attorney Lee Smith of Hinshaw Culbertson and their white-collar crime and internal investigations blog. Lee, you wrote a recent blog post about how we're seeing more privatized prosecution. What do you mean by that?
Well, it occurred to me that we're seeing more internal investigations, more high-profile internal investigations. I think my concept was really kind of triggered by a comment by the former U.S. Attorney in Chicago, Patrick Fitzgerald, who said that he was going to be going into private practice. He'd be doing the same thing for just a different client. And it occurred to me that a lot of the functions of prosecution have really been privatized now, made the subject of internal investigations that were formerly the subject of government investigations.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, and you mentioned, I think, Penn State's Freeh report as an example of this, just recently. What advantages does this privatized prosecution hold for companies who employ this strategy? And is there any bad side to this emerging trend, possibly for our justice system?
Well, the advantage for any entity, corporation, institution that employs the internal investigation is that it allows them to get out a lot more information than a true prosecution would. Prosecutions tend to be binary. The prosecutor either decides to go forward with an indictment. If it goes to trial, the jury's verdict is either guilty or not guilty. But there isn't a whole lot of subtlety that comes out of that. In an internal investigation, blame can be assessed in varying degrees, more so than it can be in a prosecution, as I say, which tends to be just yes or no. The downside for this, I think, for individuals, they don't have the same rights in an internal investigation that they would necessarily have. The adverse inferences can be drawn by an internal investigation that can be drawn by a prosecutor simply because of a witness's refusal or reluctance to provide information. So it does have some negative aspects for the individual. I think for the institution, it's positive.
Mm-hmm, definitely. I mean, today's day and age, in many different aspects, transparency is key, and I think this is part of it. And I think something you mentioned is that, this practice, these internal investigations, can do a lot to, shed transparency.
Absolutely.
Once again, that was Lee Smith of Hinshaw and Culbertson and their white-collar crime and internal investigations blog. For more of his insight on this subject in particular, be sure to visit thewhitecollarblog.com. And for curated commentary from the Lex Blog Network's thousands of authors, visit us at lexpn.com. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you, Colin.